seated so we may start the business of the House.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I wish to notify the House that I am in receipt of a message from the Senate on its consideration of the President's memorandum on the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024. The message from the Senate conveys its resolution on the President's memorandum on the County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2024, passed yesterday, 4th December 2024. The message further conveys that the Senate passed the bill with amendments. Honorable members, to give a background on this matter, you will recall that the President's memorandum was informed by the rejection of the Finance Bill 2024, which resulted in a revenue shortfall of approximately 346 billion, which had been shared between the national and the county governments. To this end, and in respect of the revenue shortfall to be borne by the county governments, on the 10th of July 2024, His Excellency the President referred back the County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2024 to the Senate for consideration pursuant to Article 115 of the Constitution. The President's memorandum proposed that the equitable share of revenue of the financial year 2024-2025 be reduced by 20 billion. From 400 billion as allocated by the Division of Revenue Act 2024 to 320 billion. Members who are standing at the entrance, you may take the nearest seats. Honorable members who are standing at the entrance, kindly take the nearest seats. Honorable Farah Maalim, please take the nearest seat. I'll proceed. However, honorable members are aware, last week both houses approved the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024 that allocated Kenya shillings 387 billion as the equitable share of revenue for the financial year 2024-2025. The bill was subsequently ascended to yesterday, 4th December 2024, by His Excellency the President. Honorable members, with this background, I wish to guide the House on the manner of consideration of the President's memorandum. Article 115 of the Constitution, as read with Standing Order 154, provides for the manner of consideration of the President's memorandum. Article 115 provides that the Assembly shall either pass a bill with amendments that fully accommodate the President's reservations or with amendments that do not fully accommodate the President's reservations. Where the House passes a bill with amendments that fully accommodate the President's reservations, the amendment must be supported by a simple majority of the members in the House present and voting in accordance with Article 1221 of the Constitution. This implies a majority of the members in the House present and voting. However, where the House passes a bill without fully accommodating the President's reservations, the amendment must be supported by a vote supported by 2/3 of all members of this House. Honorable members, with the foregoing in mind, with respect to the President's memorandum, the House must be cognizant that ascending to the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024, His Excellency the President in effect consented to the division to the set amount of 387 billion as the equitable share of revenue to the counties, which is to be allocated among the counties. The question of whether the passage of the County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2024 based on the figure 307 billion fully accommodates the President's reservation, and recommendations becomes moot in light of the passage of the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024 and its subsequent assent by His Excellency the President. Honourable members will note that by having assented to the Division of Revenue Bill 2024, His Excellency the President effectively agreed to the amount of Kenya shillings 387 billion being shared to and allocated to the counties. Indeed, it will be noted that the representatives of the National Treasury participated in the mediation and endorsed the agreed amount of the equitable share. In light of the foregoing, I wish to guide that, noting that the National Treasury participated in the mediation and endorsed the agreed amount of equitable share to the county governments, and the fact that His Excellency the President consented to the agreed figure by assenting to the Division of Revenue Bill 2024, agreement with the President's memorandum on the County Allocation Bill 2024 only requires a simple majority of the members present and voting, subject to the attainment of quorum. Given the urgent need of the House of Parliament to dispense with the bill, I have instructed the Clerk of the National Assembly to include the consideration of the President's reservation on the content of the message from the Senate to the bill in today's order paper for consideration. This will unlock the balance of the shareable revenue payable to our 47 counties, the balance without any further legislative delays. The House is thus accordingly guided. I thank you.
Order number 3, messages.
Honourable members, please take the nearest seats, those who are intending to sit for the next business. The Honourable Kaluma. You are taking too long to take the nearest seat. Honourable members, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 41.4, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from the Senate regarding the message of the County Allocation Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024. Honourable members, the message conveys that on Wednesday, 4th of December 2024, the Senate considered and passed the President's reservations to the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024, with amendments that do not fully accommodate the President's reservations. Honourable members, the reconsideration of the bill was necessitated by the referral of the bill back to the Senate by His Excellency the President on the 10th of July 2024, in accordance with the provisions of Article 115 of the Constitution. The Senate having concluded consideration of the bill, this House is now required to consider the President's reservation to the bill, in line with provisions of Article 115(2) of the Constitution. Honourable members, the centrality of the County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2024 in unlocking the budget process in counties for the financial year 2024-2025 calls for its expedited consideration. In this regard, as you have noticed, I directed the clerk to schedule consideration of the President's reservation and recommendation to the County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2024 and the contents of the message from the Senate as order number 12 in today's order paper. I therefore urge the leadership and indeed all members to rise to the occasion and conclude the matter before the House proceeds on the long recess at the rise of the House today. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Thank you, honourable members. We start with the Leader of Majority Party. You may proceed, Honourable Deputy Whip.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today. That's the December 5th, 2024 morning sitting. A, the following legal notice from the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Number 1, legal notice number 190 of 2024 relating to the pest control products, importation and exportation regulations 2024. Number 2, legal notice number 191 of 2024 relating to the pest control products disposal regulations 2024, revoking legal notice number 103 of 2024. Number 3, legal notice number 192 of 2024 relating to the pest control products, fees and other charges, regulations 2024. Number 4, legal notice of 193 of 2024 relating to the pest control products inspection and certification regulations 2024, revoking legal notice number 100 of 2024, and number 5, legal notice number 194 of 2024 relating to the pest control products, labeling and advertisement regulations 2024, revoking legal notice number 99 of 2024. B, annual report and financial statement of the Privatization Commission for the financial year ended 30th June 2023. Number C, the fourth annual report for the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner for the financial year 2023-2024. D, report of the first quarter of the county government's budget implementation review for the financial year 2024-2025 from the Office of the Controller of Budget. E, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the years ended 30th June 2024 and the certificates therein in respect of, number 1, Resilient Sustainable System for Health, RSSH, Ken TNT 2067, Subrecipient Ministry of Health. Number 2, African Climate Summit, ACS, African Climate Week, Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. Number 3, Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project, credit number IDA 58120, National Industrial Training Authority, NITA. Number 4, Kenya Primary Education Equity in Learning Program, IDA, grant number D991, KE and credit number 7067, KE and grants numbers NOS TF C306, KE and TF C306, KE State Department for Basic Education. Five, infrastructure, finance, and public-private partnership projects, IDA, credit number 5157, KE, the National Treasury. Number 6, Kenya Town's Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation Program, credit number PKE E00011, AFDB, loan number 20020000050, Earthy Waters Works Development Agency. Number 7, Women Empowerment for Gender Equality Project, WEGEB-EP, State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action. Number 8, GOK, UNFPA, 10th County Program, grant credit number 10007028818, State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action. Number 9, support of the healthcare financing strategy, reproductive health output best approach project, credit BMZ, number Kenya 201065853, Ministry of Health. Number 10, Kenya Transport Sector Support Project, credit number 4926 KE and number 5410 KE, Kenya National Highway Authorities. Number 11, Twake Multipurpose Water Development Program, Phase 1, AFDB, loan number 21001500 2993 2000003351, AGTF number 50502000000501, and FDB grant number 2100155202593, State Department for Water and Sanitation. Number 12, Sirari Corridor Accessibility and Road Safety Improvement Project, Isibenia Kisii Ahero A1 Road Rehabilitation, Kenya National Highways Authority. Number 13, Kipchorwa, Saum Kitale and Eldoret Bypass Roads Project, Kenya, ID number PZ1 DBO 183, Kenya National Highways Authority. Number 14, East African Center of Excellence for Skills and Tertiary Education in Biomedical Sciences, Phase 1, loan number 2100150031997, Project Ministry of Health. Number 15, Multinational Kenya Tanzania Power Interconnection Project Kenya Component, ADF, loan number 2100150032846, Kenya Electricity Transmission Company Limited. Number 16, Olkaria Lesos Kisumu Transmission Lines Construction Project, JICA, loan number KEP28, Kenya Electricity Transmission Company Limited. Number 17, Kenya Development Response to Displacement Impacts, KDRDIB, IDA credit number 6021 KE and grant number TFO A7762 KE, Ministry of East African Community, EAC, Assaults and Regional Development. Number 18, 50 megawatts solar power plant in Garissa project, GCL number 2015-10, Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. Number 19, Safe Roads Usalama Barabarani Program, grant number KEFED 037778, National Transport and Safety Authority. Number 20, Northern Corridor Rehabilitation Program Phase 3, Eldoret Turbo Webuye Malaba Road Improvement Project, Kenya National Highway Authority. Number 21, Kenya Informal Settlement Improvement Project, IDA credit number 4873 KE CKE 105501J and CEDA TF 018327, State Department for Housing and Urban Development. Number 22, Asian Officers Family Pension Fund, the National Treasury. Number 23, Kenya Towns Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation Program, CR number PKE E0011, AFDB loan number 200000501, Central Rift Valley Waterworks Development Agency. Number 24, Contingencies Fund, the National Treasury. 25, Lake Nakuru Biodiversity Conservation Project grant number 201567916 and loan number 201665116, KfW German Financial Corporation, Central Rift Valley Waterworks Development Agency. Number 26, Center of Excellence in Sustainable Agriculture and Agribusiness Management, Egerton University. Number 27, NEMA GCF Project Preparation Facility, Devolved Climate Change, Governance to Strengthen Resilience of Communities in Target Counties, credit number KEN PPF 0100, National Environment Management Authority. Number 28, Strengthening Forest Management for Improved Biodiversity, Conservation and Climate Resilience in South Rangelands of Kenya. IUCN project number AVCH 000981 and GEF ID number 10292, National Environment Authority. Number 29, Kenya Gold Mercury Free ASGM project grant number GEF UNDP GOK 0010888253, State Department for Environment and Climate Change. Number 30, strengthening drought resilience for smallholder farmers and pastoralists in the IGAD region project number 03, DRESS EA 07 OSSKE 20, State Department for Environment and Climate Change. Number 31, integrated program to build resilience to climate change and adaptive capacity of vulnerable communities in Kenya. Credit number KENIE MULT 20131, National Environment Management Authority. Number 32, National Agriculture Value Chain Development Project, credit number IDA 70664 KE, State Department for Agriculture. And 33, Multinational Rural Livelihoods Adaptation to Climate Change in the Horn of Africa, RLACC ADB ADF, grant number 555001201, State Department for Agriculture. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Thank you very much, Leader of the Majority Party. What is out of order, Honorable Millie Odhiambo?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just wanted to ask that we don't actually do things in vain as a House. And I'm just wondering, with all those issues that are, all those papers that are being laid, when do we ever get time to look at them? Somebody who is an Kenya actually asked me that question two weeks ago. That is it merely for cosmetic purposes, or do we really get to look at them? We are always laying reports of, or maybe we might need to relook at what comes into Parliament, because it's becoming really, it's purely cosmetic, and we need to be doing real work. Thank you.
Before I do not want this to be a subject of debate. The information is that these papers go to audit committees. What is anything out of order, Honorable Kagongo? Honorable Kagongo, Chair,
yes.
Chair Water.
Madam Chair, I agree with you that this report goes to audit committees. But Madam Speaker, there are so many reports which has been tabled in this House, including the reports from the Auditor General Office. Those reports, they have been examined by the PAC committee in this House. And sometimes even they have raised the issues to do with the expenditures in the ministries. What normally happens, Madam Speaker, the reports from the Auditor General Office and the reports from the audit committees in this House, they should be used during the budget making process to inform the budget, so that where the Auditor General Office, they have raised their concerns that some money were misappropriated in this ministry. It means that ministry, they had an excess of that money, and during the budget making process, we should slash that same amount or equal amount to what has been raised by Auditor General Office. Otherwise, it is true what the Honorable Millie Odhiambo is saying. All the reports tabled here are just pure cosmetic, because it doesn't inform anything, and it doesn't inform any legislation in this House.
The Honorable Murugara, you also want to weigh on this matter? Member for the Araka?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have to be alive to two things as we discuss this issue. Its observation by the Honorable Millie Othiambo is correct, that these papers are laid into the House or they are tabled into the House. The House may not consider all of them as required, but we must also be alive to the fact that some of these papers are required to be laid on the table as a way of reporting to Parliament by the various agencies that are oversighted by Parliament. It's a requirement in the Constitution. It's also a requirement in the statutes. So those individual particular MDS must comply with the law. If now Parliament does not have enough time to look at these reports, Parliament has itself to blame, because these government agencies have complied with the law, they have brought their reports here, and it's for us to find time to examine those reports. Thank you.
So I would not like to encourage a lot of debate on this. Honorable Millie Odhiambo has been in this House for a very long time, and clearly that the matter that she's raising is important, and especially for chairs of committees. I think it is important for you to consider or to make sure that you do a follow-up on the papers that are laid, so that if it concerns your committee, you get interested and follow it up. And also, as individual members, I think we have the freedom to ensure that this information is just not laid only for cosmetic purposes, as the Honorable Millie is saying. So I would like to end this at that. Honorable Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as you've said, I think it's worth noting that, for example, I'm the Vice Chair of Public Debt and Privatization, and I do remember that report which has been tabled, the report on privatization by the Privatization Commission, is a report actually we've discussed as a committee. We got an advanced copy, we discussed, we have made comments. Maybe what we should be asking ourselves is, once committees discuss these reports, do we have a mechanism to have these reports either presented in the plenary? And I think that's where the gap is. Committees are able to discuss these reports because the clerks do present them, but the question is, do we get then time in this plenary to discuss the report? Maybe that's what we should be discussing. And I think it's the work of the House Business Committee, Honorable Speaker, to create time so that even if it's 10 minutes, that chair of committees can come here in 10 minutes, summarize what the reports are saying, and then be able to educate Kenyans on some of the findings. But it's a very important role. It is our oversight role to comment on these reports. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Millie, I would like to make, together with the House, I would like to make reference to the Constitution, Article 229, the Auditor General, that there shall be an Auditor General who shall be nominated by the President and with approval of the National Assembly, appointed by the President, and all the roles are indicated. So for the purpose of record, honorable members, this being a House of Record, I would like us to not to have the word presentation for cosmetic purposes, because this is in our Constitution and it is clearly stipulated in Article 229. And when you go to H, as I indicated earlier, that these reports go to relevant committees, it states, H states, the accounts of any other entity that the legislation requires the Auditor General to audit. So it is from 1 to 4, and 4 as A to H, indicating all these various committees where these reports should go. And below there, number 8 states, within 3 months, after receiving an audit report, Parliament or the County Assembly shall debate and consider the report and take appropriate action. So, honorable members, it is for this House to make sure that these reports are considered within stipulated timelines, that is 3 months, and consider the reports and take appropriate action. So I think the Honorable Millie Odhiambo, who has a lot of experience, may have seen a matter that must be addressed. And honorable members, I would like to rest this matter at that. Honorable members, we have more reports to be tabled. And now I'd like to give an opportunity to the Vice Chairperson, Committee on Powers and Privileges. Chair. Honorable Lekuton, not in the House. Next will...
I'm here, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Please proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, the 5th of December, 2024, report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on its consideration of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 5 of 2022. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Next is the Chairperson, Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee. CIOC Chair. Maybe the report is not available. Next is the leader of the delegation, the Honorable Millie Odhiambo. Please proceed.
And there I go, Honorable Speaker, laying another paper. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, the 5th of December, 2024. Report of the 149th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union and related meetings held in Geneva, Switzerland from the 13th to the 17th of October, 2024. Thank you.
Order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Thank you. The Chairperson, Committee on Implementation. That one has not actually been tabled. I go to the Honorable Millie. Honorable Millie, leader of the delegation. Honorable Millie, you have a notice of motion. And as the Honorable Millie gets the document, and before I come to you, the Honorable Mwinyi, honorable members, for the convenience of the House, I will reorganize the order paper. After that notice of motion by the Honorable Millie, we will move to order number 8 to 11, and then we'll go back to 7. I'll start with the... What is out of order, member for Changamwe?
There's nothing out of order, Madam Chair. But yesterday, the Speaker directed that the Chair of Labour gives a full statement or full response to the statement that I raised in this House. And I actually request this House to do exactly that, Madam Speaker, if you may allow.
Thank you very much, we have not reached statements. We have not reached statements. We have reorganized the order paper. So we will get there. When we get there, if there is a problem, you'll be able to raise it.
Madam Speaker, I'm going for a committee meeting, if you may consider that, please.
Honorable member for Changamwe, you have a lot of experience. You know that this is the first business of the House. The House takes precedence to any other business. So the order paper has been reorganized. Member, the Honorable Wagalla. Honorable Wagalla. What is out of order, Honorable Wagalla? Please pass the mic to him. Go to the mic on your left.
Madam Speaker, after Millie Odhiambo, Honorable Millie Odhiambo, I'm supposed to be the one, Madam Speaker, who is supposed to follow, and you have jumped. Are
you
me.
making reference to the Honorable Millie Odhiambo Mabona?
Yes, Honorable Millie
the Deputy Minority Leader.
Yes.
So then you have to state
whip.
Properly.
Minority Whip. It is me, Madam Speaker, who is supposed to be called upon to lay the papers. You have jumped me.
Honorable Wagalla, maybe you had stepped out, but you may proceed and lay the paper.
Yes. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 5th December 2024. Reports of the Committee on Implementation on the following. 1. Third report on the implementation status of reports on petition and resolutions passed by the House. And 2. Attendance of the GSMA Mobile World Congress and the 2024 Africa Health Tech Summit in Kigali, Rwanda from 29th to 31st October 2024. Madam Speaker, I beg also to lay the third report on the implementation status of reports on petition and resolutions passed by this House. I beg to give notice of the following motion.
Honorable Wagalla,
yes.
You laid the paper, so you end it at that first. The Honorable Millie Odhiambo, please proceed. And for the record, the Honorable Millie Odhiambo is the minority whip.
And for purposes of this head of delegation of the IPU, for purposes of this report, Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That this House notes the report of the 149th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and related meetings held in Geneva, Switzerland, from 13th to 17th of October 2024, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, the 5th of December 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Wagalla, you may now proceed and give the notice of motion.
This is the third report on the implementation status of reports on petition and resolutions passed by the House. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That this House adopts the third report of the Select Committee on implementation status of reports on petitions and resolutions passed by the House, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 5th December 2024. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Wagalla. Next order as per the reorganized order paper.
Order number 8, procedural motion. Reduction of the publication period of a specified bill.
Honorable Dr. Nyikal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the Chair of the Departmental Committee on Health, I need to move that pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 120C, this House resolved to reduce the publication period of the Kenya Institute of Primate Research Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2022 from 14 days to 9 days. Madam Speaker, this is important because this is actually a very important bill dealing with the Primate Research Institute, which is actually doing a lot of work on primate research, including even on vaccines, and it has been working without structures that need to put it in place. And also, Madam Speaker, on the need that we are all agreed that we should fast track some of these bills, it has been found necessary that we reduce the publication period so that even when we are in recess, the committee can actually start work on public participation and even do the research work over that period. Therefore, I request the House to support this so that we can move the publication and start this process going on. Madam Speaker, with that I ask Honorable Dr. Ron to second.
What are you seconding?
You didn't even. Did you move? Did you move the Honorable Onyekal?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I beg to move and ask Honorable Oron to second.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I second the motion.
Honorable members, I propose the question that pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 121C, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Kenya Institute of Primates Research Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2024, from 14 days to 9 days.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Chair, can I say something?
Honorable Mother Wangari.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know we want to put the question, but I want to support the committee on this specific bill and reduction of publication period, because, Madam Speaker, some of us who have areas where we have monkeys that are a menace to the community. I know I have an area called Gong, I have an area called Ekatano, where farmers cannot farm because of monkeys. And Madam Speaker, if you go to the Kenya Wildlife Services, you're sent to this institute, which has no structures or money to actually move the monkeys to take them back to the forest, Madam Speaker. So it is quite something, and I know it may look like a small thing, but monkeys can be a menace, especially to women. Actually, they actually take food from the jikos when they are cooking, and actually tell them, or even unhang clothes, Madam Speaker. So these monkeys, Madam Speaker, the only way to deal with them is to equip and actually facilitate this research institute to be able to deal with them. So I support the committee, Madam Speaker, and I hope that we can get that on the floor as soon as possible.
The Honorable Millie Odhiambo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to support that motion. And part of the reason that I support is for the reason that Honorable Martha has stated, that we need to deal with monkeys. I stay next to the river, and many times I get visits, sometimes when I'm alone. And I think we have not trained monkeys on gender issues. They really have no regard, especially for women. If my husband comes, they run away, but when it is me, they don't care. So maybe we'd have to find ways of dealing with the monkeys. But, Madam Speaker, one of the things I want to say, because this is a short motion, I don't want to say much. I want to congratulate the Health Committee for the way they are organized and orderly. Madam Speaker, I can see when the chair of the committee is not in, and the deputy chair of the committee is not in. You have Honorable Onyekal, who is an excellent medic, moving that motion so that the committee can expedite. And you have Honorable Ron, a member of the committee there, ready to second the bill. Madam Speaker, the only challenge is when it comes to my bill. Then suddenly, the chair is not there, the deputy is not there, Honorable Onyekal is suddenly totally unable to move the bill. Madam Speaker, I want to encourage, I've been in this house for long. I know when we are filibustering. Please. I know when we are filibustering. Please don't filibuster on my bill. I've actually encouraged my brother Kaluma, and I will speak to it when you come to my bill, that we look at the Constitution 2024, Article 24 of the Constitution. We can borrow wording of the Constitution, Madam Speaker, which says, Clause 4 of 24, that the provisions of this chapter on equality shall be qualified to the extent strictly necessary for the application of Muslim law before the Qadi's court to persons who profess the Muslim religion in matters relating to personal status, marriage, divorce, and inheritance. We can actually use similar wording, export it to my bill, and let my bill pass. Madam Speaker, we are the women. I'm the one who does not give birth and would want to give birth. Honorable members who are delaying are going to make me have a child at 60 when I should have had a child at 40, Madam Speaker. Don't harass me. I need to have a child, and I need to have a child now, and I need a law to enable me to have a child. And all women who don't have children, stop filibustering on my bill.
Honorable Millie Odhiambo, I know this matter is very close to you, and I would like to confirm that I have worked with the Honorable Dr. Pukose. I was in his chair in the 11th Parliament. He is a very effective chair, and as you have said, you can see that the committee is organized, and I am also aware that that bill has taken long, but honorable members, I would like to ask that we do not debate on this. This is just a procedural motion, and I would like you to allow me to put the question on this matter. Honorable Kaluma, you are the only one I'll give a chance. What is out of order?
Yeah, Chair, Honorable Millie Odhiambo has mentioned me in a statement which was way out of the motion that was before you. In fact, Honorable Speaker, I don't know why you didn't declare her irrelevant, because the motion is a procedural motion. She's bringing issues about her bill, contemplating even debate on that issue. May I confirm, because I've been mentioned, Honorable Chair, that I'm before the House ready. In fact, the only business that keeps me here is to transact the bill, the Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill. And Honorable Chair, let me confirm to you, and this I'm saying for the House, when you propose a bill and you bring it to the House, make it easy for colleagues in the House, members of Parliament, to help you transact it. Chair, you remember this
with
bill?
All due respect, Honorable Kaluma, you also want to go now to the debate on the assisted...
No, I'm not debating. I'm just saying that Honorable Millie has accused some members of the House of filibustering or delaying a bill.
Well,
and what I'm confirming is that it is Honorable Millie making it difficult for us to transact this bill. This bill had been sent for harmonization. She ran from there. She wants to proceed before a report is here. And now she's blaming everybody, yet she's the one pushing without, adhering to the procedure set by the House for a quick and expeditious way of treating this bill. Let us agree that this bill can be transacted, and Honorable Millie, be ready. We want to proceed so long as the people proposing amendments are there. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, I will avoid going to the matter of the bill that the Honorable Millie Odhiambo is raising, and now I'll go ahead and put the question on order number 8. I now put the question, honorable members, that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 121C, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Kenya Institute of Primate Research Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2024, from 14 days to 9 days. Trade, industry, and cooperatives on the inquiry into alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in Kenya, laid on the table of this House on Thursday, 7th of March, 2024. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, motion. Consideration of reports on financial statements of state corporations, Nyanza region. Question to be put.
You may take your seats. This is slightly long. Honorable Ruto, please take the nearest seat. Honorable members, I put the question that this House adopts a report of the Public Investments Committee on Governance and Education on its examination of the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of state corporations, Nyanza region, for the financial year 2018-2019, 2019-2020, 2020-2021, laid on the table of this House on Thursday, 25th July 2024, subject to deletion of paragraph 212. Order, Honorable Nyikal and team. Deletion of paragraph 212 appearing on page 41 of the report and substituting therefore the following new paragraph. The committee recommends that the irregular cash payments made to the casual works done amounting to Kenya shillings 2,308,996 be surcharged to the Governing Council of Kisumu National Polytechnic. The amount is to be paid within 6 months after the adoption of this report by the House. B, deletion of paragraph 216 appearing on page 41 of the report and substituting therefore the following new paragraph. The committee recommends that the long outstanding interest of Kenya shillings 37,800 be written off from the institution's books of account since no money was lost. It was as a result of demise of the employee. And C, effecting the consequential amendments in the report. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Order number 11, the Kenya Institute of Primate Research Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to make provisions for the establishment, powers, and functions of the Kenya Institute of Primate Research, to provide for the conduct of research using non-human primates and other experimental animals for improvement of human health in Kenya and for connected purposes. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Next order. We go back. Are we going back? Honorable members, as per the reorganization that we did earlier, now we are going back to 7. Order number 7. Questions and statements. The Honorable Beatrice Elachi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to give a statement regarding the regulations of Starlink satellites internet services in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation regarding the regulation of Starlink satellite internet services in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, satellite internet, which is powered by satellites in space, plays an important role in global connectivity by transmitting signals through a satellite dish installed in a user's premises. In June 2023, Starlink, a subsidiary of SpaceX, launched its services in Kenya as a satellite internet provider, SIP, offering competitively priced internet packages and speed. The Starlink project, which aims to provide global satellite internet coverage, enables unrestricted access to internet that overpass territorial regulatory frameworks, may potentially pose a threat to personal and national security. The unlimited access to the broadband services could also jeopardize the protection of data for the users. The lack of clear policy and regulatory guidelines from the Communications Authority regarding the requirements and licensing of satellite internet providers has caused anxiety in the country. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation on the following. a report on the regulatory regime under which Starlink is offering satellite internet services in the country, including the licenses issued by the government, if any. 2, the safeguards put in place to ensure that the Starlink does not breach privacy and data protection rights for subscribers as provided for in Article 31 of the Constitution and the provisions of the Data Protection Act, Cap 411C. The measures put in place to integrate Starlink satellite internet services with local service providers, notably Safaricom, Airtel, and Telcom, and to protect local internet providers from unfair competition likely to rise from Starlink's predatory pricing model and global competitive advantage. And lastly, the modalities for Starlink to remit applicable services taxes to the government. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Beatrice Elachi. Honorable members, is the chair ICT in the House? Honorable KJ, Vice Chair or a member of that committee? I can see the Honorable KJ walking in or running in. So when will you be able to respond to this statement?
Madam Speaker, we are going to process the statement immediately. However, we would only be reporting to the House when we come back from recess. And we can do that on the first week after recess.
So first week after recess, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, the first week after recess. Thank you very much. The Honorable Lilian Sioi, MP. Proceed with your
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
statement.
I stand to request for a statement regarding mysterious disappearance of 2 Kenyans living in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson of Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations regarding the disappearance of 2 Kenyans working in Saudi Arabia. Honorable Speaker, on or around 12th August 2024, a Kenyan Ms. Teresia Wanya Musangi of ID number 27314772, who was living and working in Saudi Arabia as a house attendant, went missing. Efforts made to trace her were unsuccessful until 19th November 2024, when her relatives were contacted by the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, informing them of her demise, which occurred on 13th August 2024. Her ultimate demise has caused the family anguish, noting that she had been missing for 3 months and was in good health prior to that. According to the family, additionally, Ms. Diana Marita Boyo of ID number 38318071, who was also working in Saudi Arabia for 2 years, went missing on 2nd November 2024. The family has been distraught as her whereabouts remains unknown. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the Chairperson of Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on the following. 1, action being taken by the Ministry to investigate the death of Teresia Wanya Musangi and disappearance of Ms. Diana Marita Boyo, who were working in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. 2, efforts being made to repatriate the remains of Ms. Teresia Wanya Musangi, including providing relief measures to the family. 3, efforts being made to ensure that Ms. Diana Marita Boyo is expeditiously traced and reunited with her family. And 4, measures being put in place to address the frequent disappearance of Kenyans in the diaspora And lastly, a report on a long-term strategies being put in place to streamline recruitment of Kenyan abroad in order to enhance accountability and recruitment agencies and employers on the welfare of Kenyan recruited overseas jobs. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Chair, Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations. Chair is not in. Okay, the Honorable Martha, you are a senior member of that committee.
Yes, Madam Speaker. And I think the member has raised very critical issues. We can only respond after we get a comprehensive report from the ministry. Has to be after we come back, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Is that agreeable with you, Honorable Lillian Sioi?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't think we can wait until we come back because this lady died 3 months ago, and you see the family is waiting for the body here in Kenya. So I would wish that I get the response as soon as tomorrow before closure of the house so that we get to know what we are going to do. Kindly.
Well, before we come to you, on behalf of the chairman, I would like to give us a chance to the member for Taveta. Honorable Haika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, on the same issue of many Kenyans who are disappearing in diaspora, we have so many other cases in the regard of the same issue of Kenyans that, who have died and some went missing. And Madam Speaker, if we can have, requesting as the chair of Diaspora Committee, if we can have a joint sitting with the Committee on Defense so that we can discuss these matters and iron these things jointly and see how we can come up with solution regarding the issues of Kenyans who are in trouble and some of them who have even lost their lives in diaspora, Madam Speaker. So, thank you. And I think we can also involve the Committee on Labor on the same issue. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Cynthia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me to add my voice to the statement that has been sought by the Honorable Lillian Sioi. Honorable Speaker, I want to support the Chair, Diaspora Affairs, in her comment that we should be able to have a joint committee, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there are so many issues that are affecting the people who go to Lebanon, who go to Saudi Arabia. Some of them, Honorable Speaker, cannot be traced by their families. Some of them, Honorable Speaker, are sick and they cannot access health care. And some of them, Honorable Speaker, they are in dire situations. There are people and women who left this country to work in those countries, Honorable Speaker, and right now, somehow along the way, they got children. Their children, Honorable Speaker, are stateless as we speak. We have 12-year-old children, we have 5-year-old children, 6-year-old children who are living in those countries, and they cannot access basic education, they cannot access health care because they are stateless. Honorable Speaker, they are also not able to be processed for deportation. Why? Because they don't have those documents, Honorable Speaker. And I wonder, Honorable Speaker, how is someone who does not have documents...
Honorable members, you just make comments on this one. Eh? Do not debate. I know it's a matter that calls for debate. But just make your comments in a minute.
Okay, Honorable Speaker, so that, I have another statement that is in the pipeline. I think I'll wait for that moment. Then we can be able to raise all of them, put them together, then sort out this matter of our girls, of our women, of our young ladies who are in Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, and those other countries, Honorable Speaker, so that we can have a closure to this matter all together.
Thank you very much, Member for Nandi. The Honorable Millie Odhiambo, in a minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I came to Parliament, I did a research and even visited Lebanon myself when I was in the NGO sector, especially on our women and girls who are being trafficked. And Madam Speaker, when I raised it with the government that time, I was told the NGOs like creating, non-existent issues. It is now real and non-existent issues. Since I came to this Parliament, it's more than 15 years ago. Every year, there's a question that is being raised about women and their children who are suffering in those countries. Madam Speaker, it behoves us as a House to take. Yes, even men. Actually, my research found even our men were suffering in those countries. Madam Speaker, as a house, we are the ones who are failing this country by not taking very firm action and making sure that we provide a framework to ensure, and that's why we even created a diaspora. Madam Speaker, we need to bring our people who are suffering back. And even if it means communicating with those, having bilateral communication with those countries, we can't have this issue all the time.
Honorable Haika, half a minute. It must be a burning issue because you had already made a comment on this.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, once again. It's just to respond to a few things that have been said. I want to inform Honorable Millie what the Diaspora Committee is doing, that we are coming up with a bill.
Honorable Millie, do you want to be informed by the Honorable Aika? Make it short.
Thank you. We are coming with a Diaspora and Migration Bill that is on the pipeline. We've been working on it. We have been consulting. So you can also help us by, when the time is right, we shall consult you as well, so that you can bring your views here and there. But that does not stop us from sitting on the issues of that we are discussing about the loss of lives with the women. The bill is coming, yes, but there are these things which are pending, and yes, they need to be worked on.
Thank you very much. I'll give a chance now to Honorable Martha Wangari, bearing in mind the urgent matter that has been raised by the member and the fact that this House will not be sitting in another 2 months. So what solution can you offer?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I also want to agree with my colleagues that the matters raised are very weighty and very urgent. I know just that last week we had a question from Honorable Agnes Pareyo, also directed to the committee. But Madam Speaker, you also must consider that we are taking recess today. And this question has just landed to the committee. But I would say, Madam Speaker, as a way forward, even as we wait for the comprehensive answer, that the committee endeavors to reach out to the ministry, first of all, on this specific issue, and reach out to the member in person, the chair to reach out to the member in person to help the family. And I know I have seen it happen even in other situations, including a person from my constituency. So if that is sorted out, then the other comprehensive issues will be done in another sitting. And Madam Speaker, I agree on the joint sittings with the Diaspora Committee. We have many shared and overlapping issues, and I think it would be beneficial for both of our committees and to the House to have a joint sitting. That should not be a problem, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Sio, is that agreeable to you?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. So even after passing the response to the Honorable Lilian Sioi, when the House resumes, you will still table the response for the purpose of, for the consumption of the House and the country. The Honorable Member for Tarbaj, Honorable Hussein Abdi Bare.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a statement regarding poor internet and telephone connectivity in Tarbaj constituency and larger Wajir County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Orders, Order 44-2C, I rise to request a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation regarding the poor internet and telephone connectivity in Tarbaj constituency. Honorable Speaker, Tarbaj constituency, which is strategically located in between Ethiopia, some parts of Ethiopia and some parts of Somalia, faces significant socio-economic and economic challenges. Among the most critical issues is the severe lack of reliable internet and telephone connectivity. This persistent digital gap denies residents access to essential services, including mobile voice and data communication, as well as vital government services that increasingly depend on internet-based platforms. The digital exclusion hinders the marginalized region from catching up with the advantaged regions of the country. Honorable Speaker, it is with this in mind that I request the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation to address the following issues. One, the specific plans by the government to improve the mobile network and telephone connectivity in Tarbaj constituency and the larger Wajir, and the timelines for the implementation of connectivity projects in the area. Two, measures being taken to ensure residents of Tarbaj constituency and larger Wajir have equitable access to online government services and information through digital platforms. Three, a report on public-private initiatives, if any, that have been undertaken in enhancing connectivity in the remote and underserved regions like Tarbaj constituency. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Charles Nguna, what is out of order?
Chair, there is nothing out of order, but Chair, I just want to add my sentiments on his statement, Chair. Chair, if you travel in some parts of the country, in this country, you will realize some parts even they don't have existing network completely. You go off, and I would like to ask the Chair of ICT to make sure each and every village in this country is properly and adequately connected by Safaricom, Mr. Chair, and other ICT providers, Madam Chair. So I just want to reinforce that. Don't only investigate Wajir, do countrywide to ensure Kenyans have got right to access to proper communication network, Chair. And before I finish, Chair, I just want to congratulate...
Honorable Charles Nguna, you know this is not your statement.
Yeah, I just...
So I thought,
Chair,
with a lot of respect, I'll give you just like a minute, because I want the Chair ICT to tell us when he's going to respond to the Honorable Member for Tarbaj. I'm sure he's waiting to know.
Chair, thank you.
So in a minute, please.
I just wanted to emphasize the issue of connecting the whole country with proper network so that each and every person can have access to information. Chair, before I conclude, let me congratulate Arsenal for beating Manchester United 2-0.
Obviously, that is not relevant. The Chair ICT, when are you going? No, there is nothing out of order, honorable members. And in the interest of time, when looking at the order paper, we have very serious business ahead. What is out of order? Honorable Murungara.
Thank you. We have a very, very serious order paper this morning. And I think we are sometimes extending a little bit of our joy to where it should not be extended. Madam Speaker, I request you kindly...
Point taken.
Yes, so that
Take
we
your
move and do...
seat. Take your seat. Honorable KJ, Chair ICT.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. And it is a very important issue that has been raised by the member of Tarbaj, and even the additional information that we are getting from the Honorable CNN. Honorable Speaker, this committee shall engage the Communications Authority. We shall also engage the telcos, and we would request, Madam Speaker, that this committee be accorded time up to the 28th of January to make this response so that we can understand what the problem is with the connectivity, especially bearing the fact that this country reserves some money in the form of Universal Service Fund, which should be covering such uncovered areas. So, Madam Speaker...
Please give us the timelines when you are going to respond to this statement.
As I had said, we are requesting for time up to the 28th of January so that we come back with a comprehensive report.
Thank you very much. Member for Tarbaj. Is that agreeable? Yes, thank you. Honorable members, I'll give a chance to the Honorable Yusuf Farah. Your request for statement, very quickly.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to request for statement regarding compensation of victims of the Wagalla massacre. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44, Sub 2C, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs regarding compensation of victims of Wagalla massacre. Honorable Speaker, The Wagalla massacre, which occurred on 10th February 1984, was a dark chapter in the history of our country. More than 5,000 people lost their lives after security forces rounded up and tortured men and male children over the age of 12 years at the Wagalla airstrip. The quest for justice for the victims and survivors for the massacre remains an illusion. The survivors have spent decades demanding accountability by the government without any resolution. In 2013, the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, in its report, acknowledged the atrocities and recommended an official apology for the government and establishment of an implementation committee to execute the recommendation. Although the fourth president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, publicly apologized for the atrocities during the 2015 State of the Nation address, to date, none of the victims and their families have been compensated for the loss of their loved ones. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I request for a statement from the chairperson of Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on the following. Number one, a report on the status of implementation of the recommendation by the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, specifically regarding recommendations on victims of the Wagalla massacre. Number two, reasons for the inordinate delay in compensating the families and victims of Wagalla massacre. And number three, measures being put in place to provide support to the survivors, including providing psychological support and other rehabilitation programs. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Member for the Raka and Chair.
Okay, sit down. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. We promise to do this as soon as we resume, because we have to get information from the relevant government agencies as regards exactly how far it has been ascertained who is supposed to benefit, and that if there are any provisions made as regards compensation for those victims. It was a very sad incident that occurred at that unfortunate time, but we will be giving a detailed statement as regards exactly what the position is as of today.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Yusuf Faras, that's agreeable.
Madam Speaker, this issue has been here for long, and it's a very sad situation. The government has promised this issue so many times. Now what I'm requesting from the committee, through you, is they call the relevant agencies and invite me in that meeting to conclude this matter. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You agree with the timelines that he has given? Is that okay?
No, the timelines is too far.
You have just presented a statement today, and the chair has said at the earliest opportunity, the first week.
I'm requesting whether the committee can have time to sit during the recess period.
Well, Chair?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, yes, we may have time to sit because there's a room after the vacation when the committees will be sitting, but we don't know whether we will be having a response by then. But I request that this request for statement be forwarded to the relevant government agency immediately, and that we be informed as soon as a response is received. We will then look at it, and if there is need to summon the relevant government officer, we will do so. There is no reason why we should actually not do everything that should be done to bring this to a close.
Madam Speaker, you want to say something on this, Honorable Daud? In a minute, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think, Madam Speaker, as Honorable Farah has said, this was a dark chapter in our history. And the more we dark our history and the more we kick the can down the road, the more this thing will fester. I request that, as Honorable Yusuf has requested, that the committee, which I am a member of also, call these relevant agencies and invite the member, thrash out those issues, and then after that bring the response to the House, instead of just waiting for us to get a very canned answer, which says nothing, which a lot of members have always been saying that agencies and ministries give us very funny answers. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Daud. Honorable members, this House has faith in the leadership of the Honorable Murungara, and I would like to assure you that this will be done very well. Let us not prescribe to the committee who they are going to invite, and the committee will also seek possibilities of sitting during, if it is possible. But now we'll go by the first week, as the chair has indicated, and every other issue that has been said will be taken into consideration. Honourable members, we have response to questions. And in the interest of time, honourable members, I would like to encourage that you summarize. Looking at the order paper, you can see the business ahead. So we are going to start with the administration and internal security. I can see the chair is seated, waiting to respond to the question by the Honourable Bernard Kitur.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And in response to the statement sought by the Member of Parliament for Nandi Hill, Bernard Kitur, I want to respond as follows. And specifically, he wanted to know the status of investigation relating to the kidnapping and the torture of Mr. Pasgalis Kosgei. And he also wanted to know the step taken by the government to stop abduction and enforce disappearance. And lastly, he wanted also to know when will the ministry forward to Parliament the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance for ratification. Honourable Speaker, the chairman of border operators in Nandi Hill, Mr. Pasagalis Kosgei, reported that on 15 July 2024, at around midday, he joined local community members together with the Member of Parliament to a peaceful demonstration around the town before proceeding to the Nandi Tea factory. Later, same day, at around 2 p.m., he went to Embassy Hotel, situated at the Nandi Hill. From there, he received a phone call from former SCCCIO, Nandi East, one Chief Inspector, Rahmad Wasialwa, who inquired from him about his whereabouts and whether he was among the people who had participated in the demonstration. The victim stated that he had left the hotel and he was accosted by 4 men in Toyota Fielder, registration number KBU 612, and the abductors, who were armed with pistols, unsuccessfully attempted to force him into their car. He managed to escape from the abductors and reported the matter to the Nandi police station via OB number 341507 of 2024. And he further claimed that after he left the police station, on the same date, on his way home, he was again kidnapped. He stated that he was kept by the abductors in their saloon car and all through. However, one of the abductors who spoke in Kalenjin language convinced the rest to spare him. They, however, tortured him, and before abandoning him beside the tarmac road between Mogowet and Nandi Hill Junction, and he was found by Daniel Kemboi and his brother Henry while unconscious. And he informed the investigating officer that the abductors stole some items from him, to include some cash, a debit card, NHF card, and a telephone phone. The victim stated that the kidnappers accused him of assisting the Honourable Member of Parliament, that is Bernard Kitur, to convene the said meeting, and championing for the Koitalel Samuel University, and also talking ill of the Eastern Produce Kenya Limited, the tea company. During the episode, the victim stated that he was held in abductor's car. The police officers under command of the IP Caroline Ndema visited the scene. Consequently, a police inquiry file was opened by the SCCIO and Nandi Hill to establish the identity of the abductors with a view to prefer criminal charges against them. He, however, informed that he could not identify the abductors, and the investigation, by the time of the writing and responding to this statement, the investigation was still ongoing. On the second question, Honorable Speaker, the government had employed the following measures, like to address abduction. All reported cases are investigated. Of course, the surveillance and the patrols, and the sensitization of the public, members of the public, to encourage to report any suspicious activities. Honorable Speaker, on the last question, the object and the purpose of the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance is to prevent enforced disappearance. It entered into the force on 23rd December 2007, and Kenya signed it on 6th February 2007, but it has not been ratified. Treaty ratification process is guided by the provision of Treaty Making and Ratification Act number 45 of 2012. Under Section 4A of the Act, the National Executive is responsible for initiating treaty-making process, negotiation, and ratification. This responsibility may be delegated to a relevant state department. Under Section 7 of the Act, where the government intends to ratify a treaty, the Cabinet Secretary of the relevant state department shall, in consultation with the Attorney General, submit to the Cabinet the relevant treaty together with the memorandum. As far as this treaty is concerned, the relevant ministries or state department are still consulting on which ministry or state department is to take the lead in the process. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Bernard Kitur, member for Nandi Hills.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the chairman for administration for the response. However, in the first instance, I would have expected, first of all, an apology for taking too long. You made a commitment to present this almost a month ago, so that we take serious parliamentary promises, or when you pledge that we are going to present such a statement at such time as this, we'll be serious about it. Nonetheless, apart from the entire analogy of the events of what happened in the abduction of Pascalis, the only thing I had at the end was investigation is still on. It is not true that there is any investigation going on, because Pascalis came to me asking us if he had been going to the police station over and again. And since there was nothing that was happening, that is why we came to Parliament to try and get this a bit fast-tracked. To date, neither have the Chief Inspector Wasilwa, who was, who was transferred from Nandi Hills. He had been there for a long time. He knows the many bad things he did in Nandi Hills. When we came into the power, he was transferred to Kitui. But when this matter happened, he appeared from nowhere, because Eastern Produce of Kenya had been using police administration sometimes to frustrate the locals of Nandi Hills. And so when this happened on this day we were doing a demonstration, abduction is something that pains. It is demeaning. I went and I saw Pascalis when he had been thoroughly beaten in the hospital. And I still want to ask, Madam Speaker, that I am not satisfied with the statement. I still need to hear today that who has been arrested? No one. Have any perpetrator been called? Has even Pascalis himself been called? No one. The people who are mentioned, no one has been called.
So now what you're saying is that the answer is not satisfactory.
It is not satisfactory.
Now you need to ask specific questions to the chair. What is not satisfactory to you?
Chair, I would like to find out, why haven't the people who are mentioned been called to even write a statement? All of them, none has been called. Why has that not happened? Even Eastern Produce themselves, the security officers who are mentioned, why have they not been called even to do a statement? And finally, the aspect that also I made, Madam Speaker, on what is the government doing regarding the issue of adoption of the treaty of for the abductions. And you had mentioned, I think if I captured you well, Chairman, you said that it is a process that is happening and we do not know which department is involved in your final part of the statement. I think you need to be very clear, because I'm sure it's the government's agenda that nobody should be abducted in any way, or a person should not just disappear from nowhere, the citizens of this country. So I think those two, you need to be clear, when will that come to this House for ratification? And Of course, the issue of the people that I had mentioned that have not been called to even do a statement to show the seriousness, other than the normal cliche of saying that investigation is ongoing. It's a very lazy statement.
Thank you. Chair?
First and foremost, as much as I really understand the concern and the feeling of the concerned member, I think from the statement, it is very express and clear that the inquiry file has been opened. That means that even the members of the public are expected or asked to go and report what they know so that it can able to help them in the investigation. However, there is a mention of the chief inspector who was SCCIO of Nandi Hill, which of course from the report he said to had conducted the victim, which, Honorable Speaker, if it is true, I also agree that nobody is above the law. The same officer need also to have written the statement, at least to have recorded what he knows, so that it can able also to form part of the inquiry. But I should also encourage the honorable member that investigations are a little bit complex. Even criminals, they are, you know, criminals are also smart, and they at times even cover their tracks. So it's a situation that we should just learn also to be patient, and I trust that in due course, the perpetrators of this will be brought to books. And I think on the issue of ratification of the treaty, the statement is also very express that the consultation is ongoing. It is...
Chair,
yeah.
in the interest of time,
Yes.
can you give timelines on when this matter has a chair?
Speaker, you can
Do you
never...
have an indication of timelines, or you are telling him in due course?
Speaker, the issue of investigation, you can never be precise on when. What I'm only was saying, because the inquiry file has been opened, it can as well help us to encourage members of the public to go and report, because it can speed and aid in the investigation.
Kitur, you have 1 minute. After a point of order by the Honorable Kenan. What is out of order, Honorable Kenan?
Ideally, Madam Speaker, there is nothing that is out of order. But when I have heard the word abduction and disappearances, Madam Speaker, the framers of the current constitution and the great men and women who fought for the making of this important nation state called Kenya have never imagined at any one moment that under this generous constitution, and I want the chairman to hear this, Mheshimiwa Ngeno, I know he's your neighbor, we have never imagined a time will come when adherence to the rule of law and constitutional order will be put aside, and criminal elements in the name of anything will just abduct people, will make sure individuals disappear, and then on the face of it you are told, we are not aware, we are investigating, we have opened an inquiry file. I think, Mr. Chairman and members, what we need to, the only thing that separates us, that separates adherence to the rule of law, is when everybody understands there is a boundary, there is a limitation to what can do, whether you are in the security apparatus, whether you are a criminal element or not. As it is right now, and Madam, I'll ask you, an elected leader from Wajir has been missing since 13th September. The trails and the footprints have all shown that he's being held by our security apparatus. Nobody is talking about it. Nobody has been brought to court as a criminal element involved. The police and all other criminal agencies are not saying this is what has happened. So there can only be two assumptions, Madam Speaker. And this is where we need to protect our country. There can only be two assumptions. If there are criminal elements hell-bent on engaging these criminal activities, whose duty is it to protect Kenyans against from these criminal? It is the duty of the security agencies. If the security agencies are involved, then they are also duty-bound to adhere to the rule of law and take individuals suspected to have committed crime to court. Both are not happening, Madam Speaker.
Thank
and
you,
that's why I want to ask the chairman.
I think you've made your point.
My conclusion is this. Under our good friend, and I know, I understand the intrigues, and I really empathize with you because I know what you have been asked to convey, and having been a former chair, is the 10th rate. Not even first, second, third, fourth, fifth report. What they give you is the 10th in terms of order of importance. Even there, I want you to put your foot down and say, look, you are a very important leader. Gabriel is not the making of any. Look, in fact, you are not in the list of those I call test tube politicians. You are self-made politicians. Some of the answers that don't deserve to be brought to this house, don't accept. Throw them out of the window. Demand for a proper answer that befits your stature and the stature of this house. And that is what the Honorable is asking for. So will I be right to ask the chairman, that MCA, that answer that you gave, which was still flying, is still somewhere. That MCA is yet to be brought to court. Honorable Yusuf Hussein is yet to be brought to court. We want to closure to that. Nobody's talking about it. And yet he's a leader. If it can happen to an elected leader, a state officer, tomorrow they will do it to you. And we'll be told it's criminal elements. Please go back to those people and tell them we demand a plausible, reasonable answer to some of these questions that we raised. Giving us that it is abductions, this doesn't make sense.
Honorable Kainan, you've made your point, and now Honorable Kitur, you have 1 minute, and we have 1 minute for the chair.
Thank you very much. And I think our senior Honorable Member of Parliament for Elders, Kainan, has put it as I would have actually wanted it be. That this open-ended statement that we'll just do investigation, you will never understand it until you are involved in it. When an abduction is done in Nandi Hills, leave alone even now on the other side of where we talk about insecurity issues, in Nandi Hills, and here I request for a statement. People have gone, they've written the names of people who are involved. None has been called. And then we have this thing of the file has just been opened. I don't think it is the way it should be. Lastly, on the issue of the ratification of this statement, I would have expected Chair to say, maybe in 6 months, this will have been done, brought into Parliament, so that we show the seriousness that we don't accept an aspect of, abductions. So on this, Madam Speaker, I still feel that, yes, the file may be open, but I want the proactiveness of the security apparatus to go back and call all those people who are mentioned to do the statement.
Thank you. Clearly, he is not satisfied by the answer, and I would like you to tell the House when you are going to give the Honorable Kitur a more comprehensive answer.
Honorable Speaker, I'm hopeful that probably by the time we come back even from recess, there will be much progress made on the inquiry, and we'll be able to respond appropriately.
Thank you. When we are back from recess. The Honorable Chair, Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation, I would like to ask that this be summarized. Honorable members, I will not encourage debate on the matter that we have already closed.
The Honorable Speaker, I've seen the Honorable.
Oh, is the Honorable Gozirai in the House? Yes, proceed. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Gozirai is lucky because I took his seat some few minutes ago and he was not there. I thought I was just table the answer, but now that he's in, Madam Speaker, I have a response about...
But please summarize.
Yes. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Gozirai rose to ask a question about Makameni Dam, and I want to state the following. The Honorable Speaker, Makameni Dam project is located in west of Makameni Shopping Center in Kwale County, and the project is funded by the national government and implemented through the Coast Water Works Development Agency. The project aims to improve the access of water for more than 400 residents in Makameni, Kinangoni, Matumbi, Mtaa, Mabesheni, Bofu, Kapondongo, Mnyenzeni, and Mwabila sub-locations. And the Honorable Speaker, the scope of Makameni Dam includes the construction of a 12-meter high Hardfield Dam and at a crest of 766 meters and a width of 6 meters, which will create a reservoir of a capacity to harvest and store a 4.2 million cubic meters of water. The project includes the treatment plant with a capacity of 2.8 cubic meters per day. That is 2,800 cubic meters per day. Honorable Speaker, with 3 water kiosks to complement the distribution lines. The contract for the design and the construction of Makameni Dam, phase 1 was awarded with a contract of a sum of 1.3 billion Kenya shillings and commenced on 3rd November 2020, Madam Speaker. Following the signing of the contract on 6th October 2020, the works originally, which was scheduled for completion in 36 months, that is from 2nd of November 2023. However, the approved extension of time added 4 months, revising the completion date to 3rd of March 2024. A further 10 months extension has been requested due to the land compensation disputes, potentially extending the completion date to 28 December 2024 and increasing the contract period to 50 months, subject to the resolution of land issues. Despite the challenges, the project faces a physical progress of phase 1 is currently at 70%. The progress was however, altered as a result of land disputes arising from the communities around the project. Honorable Speaker, I wish to bring the attention to the House the significant challenges in Makameni Dam is land issues. And the Honorable Speaker, originally the land earmarked for the project was a ranch, but the ownership transitioned over time, creating a dispute with the local community. On 20th February 2024, the community partially altered the construction activities when the project has achieved the 63% physical completion rate. And despite these challenges, Madam Speaker, the contractor managed to push the progress to 70% before the complete cessation of works was enforced by the community. This stoppage, Madam Speaker, has led to the multiple notices and claims by the contractor for the idle equipment, the staff cost, and also the price adjustment, and the potential loss of profit. If work does not consume promptly, the costs associated with these claims are expected to escalate further, adding to the project's financial strains. In addition, Honorable Speaker, the inadequate budgetary allocation and disbursement have significantly impacted on the project. For instance, in the financial year 2023-24, while Kenya shillings 100 million was allocated to the project, only 25 million was disbursed. There was no budget allocation made for 2024-2025 financial year. And to complete the project, an estimated 550 million is urgently required. The measures which have been put in place, Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Water and Sanitation and Irrigation has actively addressed the challenges facing the Makameni Dam as follows. Number 1, to secure the adequate funding, the ministry is working closely with the National Treasury, also with the relevant committee, which is my committee, to reinstate the project budget under the supplementary 2. And to resolve the compensation issues, the Coastal Water Development Agencies has prepared a RAP, that is a Resettlement Action Plan. This plan identifies the project affected persons, the PAPs, that is the PAPs, the details, including the compensation for land, crops, and disturbance allowance. The RAP has been submitted to the Land Commission, which has advanced the process by publishing 2 cassette notices, including the intent to acquire the land under number 3660 of 17 March 2023, conducting the public inquiries, that is cassette number 16976 of 8 December 2023, while the final valuations are nearly complete. The Honorable Speaker, to address the grievances, there is a grievances redress committee which was formed by the ministry also, and this committee comprises of representatives from the Coastal Water Works Development Agency, the Kwale County Government and the County Commissioner's Office, the member in charge of the lands and the Land Commission Coordinator in the County Land Valuer, and the Managing Director of Kwale Water and Sewerage Company. Furthermore, the Coastal Water Works Development Agency is engaging the local communities through the corporate social responsibility initiatives. This includes the constructions of 2 classrooms in Makameni Primary School, which are 50% complete, and supplying of water to Makameni Health Center. on request, with over 100,000 liters already delivered. Plans are also in place to build 2 community toilets with locations already identified. Additionally, the access road to Kisingo Dam has been completed, improving the community's ability to access water. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Water and Sanitation has been actively collaborating with the Land Commission in finalizing the evaluations and the inquiry reports. The report provides a basis for compensation of project-affected persons and resolving the land-related challenges. As mentioned earlier, the report has been completed, awaiting the next steps in land acquisition and compensation. The Ministry is working closely with the National Treasury also in respect to budgetary allocations. This is to ensure the timely availability of funds necessary for both the compensation and completion of the project.
I know it is very hard to summarize a document that is not yours,
I am
but
done,
please
Honorable
assist the
Speaker.
House by summarizing.
Now I am done. In fact, I am at the last point, Honorable Speaker, but allow me to restate that the Ministry is determined to complete phase 2 of Makameni Dam and achieve the constitutional rights of water for the communities around the project. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. That is a report which is signed by the Cabinet Secretary Water, Engineer Eric Murithi Muka, Cabinet Secretary Water, Sanitation and Irrigation.
Thank you very much, Chairman. What is your position, Honorable Ngozi Rai, member for Kinango?
Madam Speaker,
in a summarized manner.
I will do that. Madam Speaker, the report is good on paper, but very bad on the ground. My question, over 160 families were actually affected by this particular dam on 2021. To date, they have not been settled. My question to the chairman is, when is he going to reach to these affected persons, when he can call a meeting where the coast water, the ministry, and these affected persons, so that at least they can get a timeline when they are going to be compensated for them to look for a better place to stay. Because currently there are rents which are running, and these people have not been provided with tents, and they are just actually living just like that. So if the chairperson can just give an undertaking, I would really appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much for summarizing. Chair, when are you going to address the issue of the PAPs?
Madam Speaker, already, and the Honourable Member is aware, that the Ministry has already constituted a grievances redress committee. And I've said this committee includes, the composition is from the Coast Water Development Agency, the Kwale County Commissioner Office, the Kwale County Government, and the Land Commission. So already it is ongoing, Madam
When
Speaker.
are you going to complete the issue?
So,
well, are you able as the chair to deal with this, or it includes a different committee, the National Land Commission, which is in a different department?
No, it is within the purview of the ministry, Honorable Chair, because it is a multi-sectoral issue which involves the Land Commission, the ministry, and the county government. And already that they are in place. What I am going only to do as a chair is to follow up with the ministry so that they can speed up that process.
Or when the House opens, is that a good time?
First week, the first week when we resume.
Thank you very much. Gozirai,
Madam
first
Chair,
week when we are back?
Madam Chair, my problem is that this committee has been there since 2021. What I'm requesting is particularly his committee to give an undertaking and take responsibility, because that committee has been there since 2021 and nothing has actually happened to date. Those persons are actually suffering. So if we can just give an undertaking that he's taking over, I really appreciate it.
Madam Chair, let me undertake that I'm going to lead the committee to visit Makameni Dam by the second week when we resume, Honorable Speaker, and I will invite the Honorable Member so that we can have a meeting actually on the ground.
Thank you very much.
I do appreciate, Madam.
Next, it's yourself again, Honorable Chair, on the matter which was on the response to the statement raised by the Honorable Joseph Manu, and I can see him in the House. Proceed and summarize.
Yes. Madam Speaker, this is the issue of Kalawase River flood in Turkana County. And Madam Speaker, I wish to say the following. that the National Water Harvesting Authority has been carrying out this flood control in Kalawase River. And the objective is to divert a river from its original course by excavating about 100 meters wide diversion channel and blocking the old course using the gabions. And this was done at a section in Kalawase River to protect the destructive flows of the river to Napatet village in the surrounding areas. The Honorable Speaker, the gabions started at a place called the Soweto site, and there was an allocation of about 250 million, which was allocated to this project, Honorable Speaker, but due to inadequate budget and allocation also, these monies, they were not able to be dispersed all at once. And in the financial year 2021, Honorable Speaker, there was about only 20 million, which was allocated to the authority to undertake the excavation about 10 by 2 by 800 meter length of Napatet site. And Honorable Speaker, 2021-2022, the project was prioritized, and there was an allocation of about 42 million also to undertake the same. Madam Speaker, in 2022-2023 financial year, the budget was increased to 74 million, which was allocated to these projects, and the works which was undertaken included expansion and diversion of the channel by 30 meters. And currently, Madam Speaker, because of financial challenges, that project, it is still ongoing, Honorable Speaker, and now the last phase of redesigning of the project is ongoing, Honorable Speaker. I share this response to the Honorable Member, and Madam Speaker, there is need of an additional up to 192 million now to complete the whole of the problem, the flooding problem in that area, Honorable Speaker. I think that is the summary I can say because I had given the Honorable Member a copy of these answers.
Thank you very much, Chair, for summarizing. The Honourable Member for Turkana Central, is the answer satisfactory? Are you satisfied with the written response that you have received?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to say from the onset that at least the ministry has been too honest and sincere that this is a project that has continued to fail in its implementation. Honorable Speaker, the works on the ground speaks that nothing has been done. Only projects that are done and they get destroyed by the river. Honorable Speaker, I want to mention that this river is right inside Lodwar town. And you know Lodwar town is the headquarters of Turkana County. Number two, Honorable Speaker, I want to mention that people, especially in Napatet village, have lost their property, including their ancestral land. Over 150 persons have been displaced. They are now homeless. They live in some makeshift homes in the adjacent village called Lokaparparai, and they live in tents as we speak. And in Turkana, when we say ancestral land, it is a huge chunk of land. And Madam Speaker, I'm just putting that so that the chair of the committee understands that government may lose the Lodwar airstrip if we are not going to protect this river or this flooding in this river. Madam Speaker, what I'm seeing here is government has lost 138 million so far. That is an allocation of 55.2% of the intended 250 million, meaning we are just wasting resources without seeing something that is tangible. Madam Speaker, the report is, or the response is recommending a redesign. which means in the first place, there was lack of skills in this implementation. What they are all raising here is the issue of funding. But going to the ground, it looks the persons who are implementing this project lack the required skills to implement this project, Madam Chair. Otherwise, I will request if we have a budget that is not first, as in this case, when they give a small budget, the river comes and destroys the garbage. The small garbage that are raised, and people are displaced. Again, for 3 years, they have been doing this, Madam Speaker. So for me, I will request if the Honorable Chair will be able to visit, together with this committee, to come and look at this project. Madam Speaker, it is very ironical to find that the adjacent area that was done by the Chinese is working, is doing very well. But Soweto...
Please do not over-debate. I think you have done it very well.
Madam Chair, this is very, very, very critical for me as a representative of that area. It is very critical. People are living in IDP area. People are homeless. And it's because these people are being told maybe to implement some given project. But nothing is happening. And for me, I would recommend if government becomes serious on this. And if we can start with the chair, if he can be able to visit to see by himself what has been happening. It is just jokes. And therefore, we will need some seriousness on this matter, Madam Chair. Thank you. Madam Speaker.
Chair, in a minute, how are you going to deal with this serious matter that is being raised by the member for Turkana Central?
It is true, I want to agree with the Honorable Emade that the budget issues is a problem. And Madam Speaker, the Honorable Chair of Budget is here. Our budget is based on projections. Because sometimes when they say we are going to collect this and this allocation, assuming this project was allocated 250, but because of the budgetary issues, they started with 20 million. So, Honorable Chair, I will work with the Honorable Ndindi here to see, because the Crown, Honorable Chair, in that village is a very unique geographical formations where even if you work on certain part of the river, it collapses when there is a heavy rain. And so what is there, I'm going to seek a support from the clerk's office so that we can visit Turkana together with the ministry engineers so that they can see how they can address that challenge. Then the second issue about the budgetary allocation, I'm going to talk with Honorable Ndindi so that we save that village and we save the airstrip of Lodwar.
Thank you very much, Chair. Next order.
Order number 12, Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable members, we are now in the committee of the whole House to consider the President's reservations to the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024, by the Majority Leader. Honorable Mili, is it about this bill? We are already in the committee of the whole House for this specific one. Honorable Mili, we have two sets. Under order number 12, we are only dealing with the President's reservations. Then we will break it. Then there is another order, number 15, to deal with the person with disabilities bill, to deal with the startup bill, and to deal with the assisted reproductive technology bill. But you know, Honorable Mili, what I want us to not to confuse, we are doing one order now, just order number 12, on the President's reservation. Anything outside that is really out of place in this one. Yeah.
First schedule.
Honorable members, I propose the question that President's reservations to the first schedule be now approved. Mover.
Madam Chair, I wish to move that the President's reservation to the county allocation of revenue bill, that is Senate Bill number 25 of 2024, be approved. Honorable Chair, just for members to, so that we can be on the same page with all the members.
Yes.
Members, as you know, we passed the appropriations bill a few months ago, and then we had a supplementary one a month after. We had division of revenue before that, which was 400 billion. After we did the supplementary, it came to 380 billion. And honorable members, as you know, again, last week we passed another division of revenue, now the mediated version of 387 billion. So all we are trying to do, Honorable Chair, is that we need to align these documents to be on the same figure, because CARA should be on the same figure with DORA, which is the division of revenue. And I am sure when we are back here next year, we are going to align the two documents with the Appropriations Act again, or a bill, before it becomes an act, so that we can have a consistent figure of the money that is going into our counties. And therefore, Honorable Chair, that is the reason that we are considering this motion. It has come from the Senate, already aligned, and I'm sure the amendment will be moved thereafter. And therefore, Honorable Chair, I move.
Okay, that is very well. Honorable members, I therefore put the question that the President's reservations to the first schedule be amended as proposed by the Chair, Budget and Appropriations Committee. Hold on. I will propose the question that the President's reservations to the first schedule be amended as proposed by the Chair. Honorable Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I think this morning there was a very detailed communication from the Speaker in terms of what has happened to this important bill. And what is very interesting is that by the fact that the President has sent it to the Division of Revenue Act now to become an act of Parliament, and in that Division of Revenue Act, the figure was 387, it automatically means that he has actually changed the figure from 400 to 387, and not the 380 which was indicated in the reservations. So with that clarity, I support, and we should approve it.
Thank you. Honorable Nyakundi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In as much as we support devolution, and we support that the counties should be given money, on the county allocation revenue bill, I don't support it because you know we are living in extraordinary times where money that was supposed to be given to counties was reduced to about 387 billion. Most of these counties, the money that they get, especially on roads, we are not seeing what this money is especially doing. And the county government wanted more money, especially from RMLF, to go to counties. We want to say that the money that is used as RMLF by Kera or Kura or Kena should not go there, because counties have not shown us what exactly they do with their money compared to Kera. And as we know, Kera has competency in terms of engineers and everything else. So I want to support the President's reservation on the county allocation revenue bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The chair has moved the President's reservations, and I would like the Leader of Majority, you have an amendment to the same.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the President's recommendation to the first schedule be deleted and replaced thereof with the following. This has been necessitated by the rejection of finance bill, as the chair variably explained, and the initial figure we know is 400 billion, then it was reduced to 300 billion, and then it moved to negotiation between us and the Senate, and now the figure we are debating on is 387 billion that ought to go to the counties, and also we need to give support to Senate that oversights all this money. Mine is just to say that we need to be accountable, and the counties need to be accountable and good stewards of the resources. And with those few remarks, I move. Thank you.
Thank you. That gives life to what Honorable Makali Mulu was talking about. I will first propose the question that the President's reservations be amended as proposed by the Majority Leader. What is out of order, Honorable Mili?
Chair, just seeking your guidance from the Chair. When you move an amendment to presidential reservation, isn't there a requisite number that is needed on the floor?
Honorable Mili, that was made clear in the Speaker's communication. It actually does not have that threshold. This one does not have that threshold. Honorable Ndidi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and I want to thank the Honorable Naomi Wako for moving that amendment. Honorable Chair, this amendment is only seeking to do this, that the initial amount that we wanted to allocate to the counties as shareable revenue or allocation was 400.1 billion. We amended that to 380 billion in this House. We took it to the Senate, and the Senate proposed again almost the initial figure of 400.1 billion. We mediated, and we came up with a figure of 387 billion. Honorable Chair, what that means is that the current division of revenue has a figure of 387. It was actually signed by the President yesterday. And this figure must align with the CARA that is before us today. And therefore, we are just trying to align that figure. But generally, as I finish, I want to thank all the members who've been with, especially in the earlier process of mediation, and say it very loudly that this House supports devolution in entirety. The issue before us was just about allocation of resources, which are scarce, and we'll be allocating actually more resources to our counties in the county government's additional allocation, which we are now considering in the mediation. And therefore, we are moving forward in terms of support for devolution. The monies of 387, Honorable Chair, is actually 24.4% of the threshold that we should maintain of 15. And therefore, we are 9 points ahead of what is constitutional or the constitutional threshold. I support that amendment, and I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Very well put. Honorable Kawanjiko, your chair has spoken for you.
No. Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to rise and support whatever
the leader of majority has moved, that to some extent we need to agree that we need to move on as a country. And because the money that we are supposed to correct and the amount of money that we have corrected from, that we were supposed to have corrected from the finance bill, it is actually a shortfall. And since there is an increment of about 387 billion, comparing to what they had received even last year, I think it is high time that we support that amendment, and also call upon our governors, as they are saying, that as far as we want to support devolution, and the majority of the speakers who have spoken before me, they have said, we also need to see the value for money of this amount of money that we are sending to their counties. Issues to do with the roads, issues to do with health, issues to do with the drugs in our public hospitals, that they need to rise to occasion. So that at least, even if we're going to continue allocating more funds, we can be able to see the value for money as far as the devolution is concerned. But as it is, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, there is no difference. The only difference that you can see, even in terms of the law that we are making in the constituency, is what Kera, Kura, and Kenha are doing. But where this money is going, it's something, Madam Speaker, that desired to be seen. Actually, what actually the devolution was supposed to have achieved. And therefore, I support the motion. Let us give them 387 billion. In case there is an increment of the new finance bill next year, we'll be able to review and move forward. I support, Madam.
I therefore put the question that the President's reservations to the first schedule be amended as proposed by the majority leader. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I now put the question that the President's reservations to the first schedule as amended be now approved. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House's consideration of the President's reservations to the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, that is Senate Bill number 25 of 2024, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Honorable members, I will put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the President's reservations to the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024, and its approval thereof with amendments. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the whole House has considered the President's reservations to the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024, and approved the same with amendments.
Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee of the said, let me repeat, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. And Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank all the members who have participated in this process and the associated processes, because when you are processing the monies that we send to our counties, we consider several instruments. I want to thank all the members who have been involved from the budget making process in terms of appropriation, coming to division of revenue, and also the current SIGA that is now on mediation between ourselves and the Senate, and also in this process that we are having today. And I also want to reiterate again, as I said before, that this House fully supports devolution. We support our governors for the good work they are doing, even with the limitation of resources, because we are all leaders. Being leaders, we are playing in the same team. We are playing in the same direction. Honorable Speaker, we are pulling in the same direction again. And every effort we put in making sure that Kenya is moving forward should be congratulated. And therefore, whatever we do here as MPs, whatever our governors are doing, whatever every other leader is doing, we are doing it for the betterment of our country. And that is why we always allocate resources to our counties and do justice in terms of provisioning enough resources to our counties for them to be able to give proper service to the Kenyan people. And Honorable Speaker, I now beg to request my brother, the Honorable Makali Mulu, PhD of Economics, to second this motion for the agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me join my chairman in appreciating those who have been involved in this process. Honorable Speaker, it has not been easy to get where we are today. The Senate, the National Assembly, the Mediation Committee, and the members of this House for ensuring that we have these resources for the counties. So even as I second Honorable Speaker, I want to say that we need to note as Kenyans that all these resources we are allocating or appropriating, either at the national level or at the county level, are being used to make lives better for the Kenyans. We are all serving the same Kenyan, and what I will be requesting is we need to ensure those who are accounting, the accounting officers at all different levels, they need to make sure that we realize prudent management of these public resources. That will make this economy grow and life will be better for all of us. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I second. Thank you.
Honorable members, order Honorable Tandaza. I propose the question, which is that this House do agree with the committee in the said report. Honorable members, I put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 13. Motion. Consideration of mediated version of the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023.
The chairperson for the Mediation Committee, Honorable Murugara.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to move that pursuant to the provisions of Article 1132 of the Constitution and Standing Order number 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023, laid on the table of the House yesterday, Wednesday, 4th December 2024, and approves the mediated version of the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023. Madam Speaker, allow me to urge the members present, and possibly they do have the report of the Mediation Committee, which sat over a period of 2 weeks to mediate over the bill. The House will recall that this House passed the Conflict of Interest Bill number 12 of 2023, and after that the bill was taken to the Senate,
where it was returned to this House with amendments. The honorable speakers of the two houses then formed a mediation committee comprising of 9 members from the National Assembly and 9 members from the Senate. And when the Senate convened, I was, as the chairperson of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, selected as the chairperson of the Mediation Committee, while the chairperson of the equivalent of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee in the Senate was the vice chairperson. The selection was based on the fact that this is a National Assembly bill, and it is because of that the Constitution was made. Kindly, honorable members, read the report. It is detailed, elaborate, and it has actually solved most of the concerns which this House had. I confirm to the House that this mediated version is actually in compliance with the requirements which this House put across, and especially in disagreeing with the Senate proposed amendments. What the Senate proposed was basically, to a greater extent, put aside, and the version of the National Assembly was re-adopted, and this is what we are moving this morning. I wish to point out to a few salient provisions which are of importance to the House. The first one being clause number 5, which would be section 5 of the Act, where the administration of the Act was put in 2 authorities. The reporting authority being the authority in charge of you as a public officer, and the corruption, the ethics and anti-corruption. The 2 will actually enforce this, the basis being we would not have done away with the Anti-Corruption Commission because of Article 75 of the Constitution. I also wish to confirm that most of the provisions we have here were actually in the Leadership and the Integrity Act, Chapter 185C of the laws of Kenya. So we try to harmonize to ensure that what is in the Leadership and Integrity Act is what we introduce here, and not anything extraneous as the original bill had tried to do, and possibly as the senators had also contemplated. I draw your attention to to clause number 19, which is very important, in that a public officer shall not be party to or any beneficiary of a contract for the supply of goods, works, or services with is or a reporting entity. Honorable members, the proposal was that actually all public servants should never have anything to do with the rest of the government. We actually went back to say you will now be stopped from acting with your reporting entity. That is, if you are under Parliamentary Service Commission, then you cannot do any business whatsoever with the Parliamentary Service Commission. That does not stop you from doing with the Public Service Commission or any other entities to which you do not report. So we try to cure that by making that provision so that nobody says this is over curtailing when it comes to engaging with the rest of the government. I draw your attention to clause 32 of clause 32, which is going to be section 32, that this section determines what body is a responsible commission for a public officer for the purposes of the Act, and we have set out the commissions. Then I take you to clause 41, which is also very important. Clause 41 on complaints and the conduct of investigations, where we have provided in subclause 3 that a reporting authority and the commission shall not conduct concurrent investigations over the same complaint. This means that you have your reporting agency or your reporting authority to do investigations for you. For the commission to come in, there must be a complaint to the commission, and the commission will establish that the reporting entity is not investigating the matter. Once this is established, the commission may come in. But for all intents and purposes, the investigations will be with your reporting authority. And for your case here, it is the Parliamentary Service Commission, and for the rest of the executive, it is the Public Service Commission, while the judiciary as the Judicial Service Commission and others. Then quickly, I take you to the provisions of Clause 45, where you got a penalty. It's good to note what the penalty is if you breach this act. This is no different from what we have under Leadership and Integrity Act. Therefore, if you offend this law, you are actually, and you are convicted, you are liable to a fine or a default prison term. And regulations will be made under Clause 50. This is very important because this is an act of parliament that flows from our constitution. Now we have to make regulations as a house. Those regulations will be made by the Honorable Attorney General, who will bring them to this parliament for approval through our delegated legislation committee. Otherwise, from there, we moved to the schedules. And we start with the schedule which you complete. There was the introduction of a new schedule, which we looked at and found it overreaching. It was over-providing. So we went back to what you've been completing here as your as your declaration of interest. And this is what we've incorporated here. We've moved the schedule from the Leadership and Integrity Act in here to replace what was being proposed. We then looked at what are registrable interests, and we again went to Leadership and Integrity Act because we felt there was over provision here. There were too many interests that were set in. Justification could not be found. But since we have this law, which we feel it is the one that controls conflict of interest, we introduced the registrable interests as provided in the Leadership and Integrity Act. Therefore, since the Senate has concurred with us on this, we now have a mediated version, which version I urge the House to approve. With those remarks, I beg to move and request the Honorable Vice Chairperson of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to actually second. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thank you, Chairperson, Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, and also the Chairperson of the Mediation Committee on the Conflict of Interest Bill, the Honorable George Gitonga Murugara, soon to be Senior Counsel. As has been said ably by the Chair, and Chair has dealt on specifics, the House would remember that during the delivery of the State of the Nation address by the President did challenge us as Parliament to fast-track the enactment of the Conflict of Interest Bill, and in fact wondered whether members were conflicted in passing this Conflict of Interest Bill. Pursuant to that, we set in motion the Mediation Committee comprising of the National Assembly and the Senate. And I want to thank our membership because in a record time, we have been able to agree. It was not very difficult to develop consensus because the issues that we were under mediation and the issues that were under conflict were clear-cut. As has been said by the Chair, to a large extent, the mediated version of this bill reflects what had been passed by the National Assembly, and therefore the National Assembly should not have difficulty in agreeing with the mediated version that we have tabled before the House. But maybe for the benefit of members, on a foundational level, two issues were foundationally the cause of the problem. Number one was whether the EACC ought to have a role in the management of conflict of interest, or that should be exclusively left to the reporting authorities
and the chair has explained what reporting authorities under the Act are. And it was the view of the National Assembly that that should be a shared role between the reporting authority and the EACC, and the EACC should have the ultimate mandate on management of conflict of interest because they are a Chapter 15 commission that is created by the people of Kenya for the purposes of ensuring integrity and the fight against corruption. Senate initially felt EACC should not have a role, but when we sat, we were able to convince them that in compliance with the provisions of the Constitution, EACC ought to have actually a very great role. Emanating from that, the next issue was whether we need to bring all the laws in terms of conflict of interest under one act. And Senate initially was of the view that we should not repeal the Public Officers and Ethics Act, but we were able to convince them that it is much better to have all the laws under one umbrella, which is the Conflict of Interest Bill. And the moment those two foundational issues were resolved, it was then easy to now go clause by clause, and that's where we developed the consensus very easily. The third issue, obviously, was that to what standard should public officials, state officers and public officers be held in terms of the fight against corruption, and also bearing in mind that conflict of interest is a major cause of corruption. And our view was that we need to have a very high standard, but that standard needs to be practical. That standard needs also not to be utopic, it needs to be realistic. We also do not need to dilute. We need to safeguard against diluting the war on corruption by making provisions that make it very easy for people to go away with economic crimes. And we also agreed on the standard, and that's why we have come up with a mediated law that is realistic, a mediated conflict of interest bill that will propel this country to the next level, and that will make it impossible for public and state officers to do business with government in a manner that compromises their holding of office. And for that, Madam Speaker, I beg to second and to request that we pass the mediated version so that it may go to Senate and so that it may eventually become law, and so that the 2 billion that we are every day talking about, remembering yesterday we gave the EACC a new CEO, we gave them a new CEO, and therefore it is also important that we empower them legislatively so that these 2 billion that we keep on talking that is lost every day, we can seal those loopholes, because many of them are as a result of conflict of interest, people who are sitting in offices and who are also able to do things for themselves and not for the country. I second and request that we pass it. We pass the conflict of interest bill as mediated by the committee. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chair and Vice Chair. Honourable members, I propose a question that pursuant to provisions of Article 1132 of the Constitution and Standing Order 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023, laid on the table of this House on 4th December 2024, and approves the mediated version of the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023. The Honourable Tandaza.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I, of course, stand to second, not to second, to support the bill as it is. But I'm having a difficulty from what the chairman explained, that he gave an example that for us here, where our reporting entity is Parliamentary Service Commission, then you could possibly do business with the other arms of government. But looking at this document on Part 1 preliminary, and going up to where reporting entity means, Mheshimiwa Murugara, it goes on to say on Part B, the national government or any organ or department of the national government. This means Parliamentary Service Commission, from my understanding, is an organ of the national government. Doesn't that then defeat what you initially said? Because certainly Parliamentary Service Commission is part of the government. It's part of the national government. It's an organ. By definition, doesn't that actually defeat that purpose? Otherwise, for as far as this bill concerns, it brings clarity. We know very well, even when it was said that doing business with the government is a conflict of interest, people would use their relatives, their sons, their spouses to still do businesses and pull the strings from there. So this one will put bare that you are doing business, and if you to be shamed or to be taken to court, it's you as a government officer. So people should come out. But I'm having a problem with this explanation here. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Thank you. The Honorable Cynthia Muge. What is out of order? Honorable KJ.
Madam Speaker, I'm standing on standing order number 95. And why I do this, Madam Speaker, is because the business that is before us is critical business and very important business. However, Madam Speaker, if we look at the history of how these landed on the floor, is that we had totally and extensively debated this matter. Then it went to Senate. Senate attempted to change what we had come up with. It came back here, came for a mediation, and the mediation was in such a way that our proposals as the House are the ones that prevailed, Madam Speaker. So in the interest of time, Madam Speaker, it might not be in the interest of this House to belabor the point. I think the matters raised by the chair and as seconded by the seconder were substantive enough, and they suffice as the thinking and the builds of this House to this bill. So, Madam Speaker, I do request that we call the mover to reply.
That is noted, actually, bearing in mind that this is a mediated version. But I would like to give the Honorable Jamatia. She seems to be very keen to put a word on this subject.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. I also want to say I agree with the Honorable KJ that we debated this bill extensively. But again, because it is now a different version, because it is mediated, and that is why it is in the floor again. Madam Speaker, I want to support this bill because it is going to cure most of the problems that this country is incurring, and specifically on matters corruption. If you look at the extensive practices in government, specifically on career civil servants, many times people complain about corruption, and in many occasions politicians are always looked at that they are the most corrupt people. But if you look at it keenly, people who always do a lot of business with government, specifically on their point of references or their places of work, these are people who have sat down and worked for the longest time, specifically 10 to 15 years in government, and they always know how tenders are worked on, procurement is done, or these are people who interact with day-to-day facilities, specifically on tenders, on how government procure and do business. And these are the people that gives us the conflict itself. Now, with this bill, I want to believe that we will be very keen to save resources. And many times when people who are involved, like if you are, like the way the chair clearly specified and said that if you are a member of parliament, you cannot do business with PSC, that is Parliamentary Service Commission. So many times, if I work, for instance, in the Ministry of Water, and I have tenders that construction of dams and all those kind of things, and I do the same, that means I will conflict because I have all the information within the ministry and in the institution. This way, in the smallest way possible, we will be able, and the biggest way possible, we will be able to curb issues of runaway corruption and runaway investment of government resources, and I believe it is a good move. It should also go all the way to check on people who do business with the closest proxies who also are part of the institutions, and also employment of relatives. And this is so that we minimize and eradicate nepotism in government. Thank you so much.
Standing orders belong to us, and now Honorable KJ Ross on standing order number 95. And I would like to ask whether it is the mood of the House that I call upon the mover to reply. So will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, the Honorable Vice Chair and those who have actually contributed to this. Just to clarify, there's a difference between a reporting authority and a reporting entity. Number two, please read this bill. Somebody else will read and misinterpret it, and tomorrow we may be complaining out there that we are not the ones who passed this law when we actually did. Let's not be misinformed. With those remarks, I beg to reply.
Before we go to the next order, I'm informed that the Honorable Millie Odhiambo, yes, I can see now you have an intervention, that you have a matter to raise. I'll give you a minute or two. Is anything out of order, Honorable Millie?
Not quite out of order, but I want to raise an issue in relation to the order of the day. And thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if you notice, in Order 15, we are going to move to the Committee of the Whole House. And I'm raising this so that even as we are, before we move on, we are informed about the next, the Committee of the Whole House. Madam Speaker, listed as number 3 is the Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill, National Assembly Bill number 61 of 2022 by Honorable Millie Odhiambo Mabona. Madam Speaker, I have been alerted by the clerk to that committee that the chair of the committee is not available, and the deputy of the committee is not available. And I've asked the committee members who are present, and they say they have no instructions to conduct business in relation to that business. I am here, and some members who had moved amendments are here. And Madam Speaker, I just wanted to say that because of that, order is not likely to go, so that even if I were to leave when it's on the order, I want it to go on record I was here. And part of the reason is that we don't get misinformation. Madam Speaker, this matter was referred for winnowing in April this year. That's several months ago. Madam Speaker, I've been available for every committee meeting when there is winnowing. There were 3 members. 2 members we agreed, Honorable Irene Mayaka and Honorable Shakil Shabir. But we had a lot of points of disagreement with Honorable Kaluma in relation to the bill. There were some where we had agreements, but on the whole, there were a number of areas, even though he has very few remaining, but those few go to the fundamental aspects, some fundamental aspects of the bill. So we were not agreed. And Madam Speaker, the last 2 times that we met with the committee, Honorable Kaluma was not available. And the matter was conversed extensively as a committee, and the committee agreed that we move to the House so that it be dealt with, because you cannot winnow forever, Madam Speaker. And in this case, it's just Honorable Kaluma, who we didn't agree on some issues. The committee and I have agreed almost 100%. So the ones on disagreement at some point, the members of the House have to make a decision, either for or against, and that's why it was moved. And Madam Speaker, I'm raising this because earlier Honorable Kaluma had seemed to infer that I had insisted on moving. I had indicated the situation that the matter has been before the committee since April. Madam Speaker, I am just, this bill is assisted reproductive technology. It's not a bill on how Jesus Christ is coming to save the world. So, because that one, then if it's stuck in the committee for 4 years, it's okay. It's assisted reproduction, which is only helping a segment of the society like me who don't have children. It's not everybody. And Madam Speaker, it is wrong for me to feel frustrated by the House And Madam Speaker, I'll give you an example. Like right now, the bill is actually listed, but 2 other bills by private members are listed before it. Madam Speaker, if it is an issue of seniority, I support both bills. But there are members who are younger than me. Why are their bills coming before me? If it is an issue of procedure, a bill that has already been started or has been here takes precedence. So why is mine coming as number 3? Madam Speaker, in my frustration, I might be forced to infer issues which I don't want to infer. But if it goes on, I will infer. Madam Speaker, I am minority whip. And as minority whip, I try to be a good girl. But the fire in me, as the bad girl, still burns. And it will come out if we continue. I don't like, Madam Speaker, the filibustering I'm seeing, the gatekeeping I'm seeing in relation to my bill.
Have you changed from the bad girl now to a good girl?
I'm only good when I'm in the house as whip. But Madam Speaker, if my bill is being frustrated, I and many other women who cannot have children do not have to go through this in the house. And Madam Speaker, I am also a Seventh-day Adventist, Madam Speaker. And my church, I'm on a point of order, thank you, Honorable Kaluma. And my church has not stopped me from having children through assisted reproductive technology. Let us use Article 24(4) of the Constitution to bring amendments that are conscious of other faiths that may not want to bring issues of assisted reproduction or surrogacy. But don't punish couples, both men and women, who are discriminated, who are stigmatized. Madam Speaker, it takes a lot for me as a woman who is in her 50s to stand before Parliament to tell you I'm childless, which in Luo we call lore. Nobody talks about lore publicly. I think it's wrong for this House to subject me to this kind of Madam Speaker, this is not right. And I am in the House business. No, I've been in this House, I know when filibustering is being done. Bring my bill, let it fail, but bring it. It will go on record that this House does not want to support women who don't have children. Let it go on record. But don't filibuster with my bill and keep with my bill. Use Article 24(4) of the Constitution and import wordings there that exclude faiths that don't do surrogacy. I am a Seventh-day Adventist. Don't force me with things which are not in my faith.
Honorable Mili, I can see that this is a very emotional matter. And honorable members, all of us are cognizant to the fact that this bill has taken a long time. Honorable Kaluma, I know that you have been mentioned 3 times, so I'll give you a chance. But I would like to say that Honorable Mili Odhiambo is right, that this bill has taken too long. And Honorable Mili Odhiambo, I would like to give you assurance that what you have said is on record, and this matter is going to be acted upon soonest possible. I also agree with you that it is listed, and the fact is that the chair of health is not here, and the vice chair is not here, and it has not been delegated to anyone, and we will not be able to proceed, so you are right. But I would like to tell you that you have spoken passionately on this subject on record, and this is not the first time that you have spoken on it. And I know people, others who are in this House, who would like to benefit from this, and members who have already left this House, who would like this bill to pass. So I would like to give you assurance that this is going to be taken into consideration. Honorable members, the Honorable Mili Odhiambo has mentioned the Honorable Kaluma 3 times. And it is only fair that I give a chance to the Honorable Kaluma to make comments. Honorable Kaluma, don't be as emotional as Honorable Mili. So if you can just make comments without being as emotional as she was, we'll be able to make a decision that can give us progress on the subject.
I never easily fall into emotional blackmail and traps. So don't worry. Don't worry. Honorable Mili, I hope you're not directing your messages at me. Yeah, but nobody stops you from getting children even by now. Honorable
Order,
Speaker.
Honorable Kaluma, please do not exchange
I
with
thank
the
you.
Honorable Mili.
I thank you.
I've just given you an opportunity so that you can make your comments on it, because I know that you also have interest in
Yeah,
this
but don't
subject.
allow me to be blackmailed emotionally. Yeah, let me address the issue, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity, because it has been mentioned that there were deliberate efforts to delay this bill, particularly at winnowing, which you remember, Honorable Speaker, as a member of the House, I'm the one who requested for. And Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether it was you who was presiding by that time, but I know it was not the substantive Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I was personally concerned at what happens in terms of our procedures in Parliament when a matter goes for winnowing. And Honorable Speaker, this is important for me that we mention it, because you remember in the morning I said it is Honorable Mili who has been frustrating progress with this bill contrary to our presentations before this House. Honorable Speaker, my understanding of winnowing is that clause by clause in a bill when you go for winnowing under the standing orders, Honorable Speaker, the members proposing amendments clause by clause on a bill state what their positions are and seek to agree. And that is why it is called harmonization. Honorable Speaker, that is not what happened before this committee. And I'm saying this so that proper directions and perspective can be made. We went for winnowing, Honorable Speaker, and I remember Honorable Mili was there, I was there, Honorable Irene Mayaka was there, Honorable Shakil proposed amendments. And we went for winnowing, and what I was told is that, Kaluma, your amendments will be dealt with later. I protested, but they insisted, so it was not winnowing. The only time, Honorable Speaker, I was allowed to speak during winnowing was the day the Speaker called a members' informal sitting here. And Honorable Mili delayed coming for that meeting by over 1 hour. So that when Honorable Mili came, we had sat there waiting for her for a whole hour. When she came, we were rushing also to this house for the Kamkunji. But in that less than 1 hour we sat, Honorable Mili will confirm to you that we covered up to clause 13. And we were able to persuade one another. And I hope that will not be denied. And we left the committee, Honorable Speaker, saying that the following Tuesday we were to meet. When I came to this house that very afternoon, I approached the Speaker there, and that is when I was told that very afternoon that by the following day, I was to accompany the Legislative Caucus, which we all know, on a trip to South Africa to deal with issues of the House, including the amendments you've seen being proposed. The first person, Honorable Speaker, I informed of the idea that I would not be available on the meeting we are the ones who had enforced, was Honorable Mili sitting there when I left the Speaker. And I said, you know what? I'm told I'm traveling out of the country tomorrow. Let us agree on a day we can come and finish. And we were moving towards finish. Honorable CNN was there. When I came, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Mili went to the committee on Tuesday. I also informed the committee clerk and the chair of the committee. Honorable Mili went to the committee, having been informed by me of that intervention, and Honorable Mili insisted that the matter had to be proceeded with anyway. I came back, Honorable Speaker, and I took the matter stride. I said we would proceed before the House. And Honorable Speaker, I agreed to proceed. This is critical because my reputation is being attacked on something I'm approaching in good faith. I came to this House. When a matter goes for harmonization under the standing orders, there should be a report from the committee. And the committee reneged on everything we had agreed on up to clause 13. I didn't mind. I said, let us proceed. When we began, Honorable Speaker, you were in this House. The other members of the panel and the people representing the Speaker were here. We proceeded very well. Why should we be in a situation where, despite proceeding, we are being now blackmailed? Honorable Speaker, let me say this.
Wind up now.
Let me say this as I wind up. When we enact laws in this House, we enact them for the country. Millie is my niece. I've said that times without number. But Honorable Speaker, I will not allow a wrong thing to pass because of emotional blackmail. Let me say that there is nothing stopping anybody from going for surrogacy if they want. Honorable Shakil got children here that way. So let us avoid a situation. No, Honorable Speaker.
Do not go personal
let
on this
us avoid a situation where people bring bills here and then they emotionally blackmail members to just pass them. I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, that give us directions. I've been in the House since morning to transact this bill. I've even missed a trip I was to go to Paris and Madrid because this bill is on the order paper. The directions I seek, which I thought Honorable Millie would seek, is that are we proceeding or not? So that we can plan other matters. But let us not be blackmailed.
I think you have made your point.
About surrogacy and other things which other people can still go for. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You have made your point. Honorable members, I do not know whether to allow this debate because it is extremely sensitive and there are, if it is, order, Honorable Millie and Honorable Kaluma. Honorable Kaluma, order, Honorable Kaluma. Honorable Kaluma, I'll focus on you, I'll not focus on Millie. Honorable Kaluma, assist us to stop this, please. Honorable members, I will not allow any further comment on this. And this is, honorable members, the Honorable Millie Odhiambo, the Honorable, order Millie, order Honorable Millie. Order Millie. Order Millie. Order Honorable Millie Odhiambo. Honorable members, the Honorable Millie Odhiambo approached the House Business Committee on the subject matter of this bill, and this bill was listed this morning and the afternoon. That means that the House Business Committee has goodwill on the subject matter. Honorable members, as you may notice, the chair is not in the House and the vice chair is not in the House, and most of the members of Health Committee are not in the House. We have not lost it all. It is still available in the afternoon. However, Honorable Millie, it is important to note that there is a possibility of losing most of the amendments, especially without the chair and without a person who has been designated to prosecute. So it is a balance that has got to be done by both you as a mover and the House leadership. So, honorable members, I would like to just say that this bill is still listed in the afternoon and end it at that point. Thank you, honorable members. Next order.
Order number 14, the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023, second reading.
Okay. The finance. That was deferred earlier in the day. Next order.
Order number 15, Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable members, we are now in the Committee of the Whole House. We are supposed to consider 3 bills, but we are reorganizing. We'll be starting with the Startup Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2022 by Honorable Irene Mayaka as a co-sponsor. then the Person with Disabilities Bill, and then the Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill. So we shall start with the Startup Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2022.
Clause 3.
I propose the question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. There's an amendment. Chair, Trade.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable Tom Oluoch, sorry. Like I had said earlier, we are starting with the startup bill. That is Roman number 2. Continue, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I propose that Clause 3 be amended as it appears in the order paper, and the justification here is that the amendment enriches the bill by providing for further objects of the Act, including bringing in other players to support startups, for example, the private sector.
I therefore propose the question that Clause 3 be amended as proposed by the Chair. I will put the question that Clause 3 be amended as proposed by the Chair. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I now put the question that Clause 3 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
I propose the question that Clause 4 be part of the bill. There is a proposed amendment by the Chair again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Propose that Clause 4 be amended as it appears in the order paper. And the justification for it is that the roles of the national government agencies that will implement this law, in this regard, the National Innovation Agency will coordinate players in the innovation conceptual phase, which include the idea generation, idea evaluation, requirement analysis, project planning, prototyping, testing, piloting, and proof of concept. And you will notice that many agencies are being involved, and therefore the Kenya National Innovation Agency brings all these agencies together. And then the Kenya Industrial Estates will coordinate the ecosystem players in the commercialization phase, including production, marketing, financing, and scaling up of all these startups. And for effective support to startup phases, support requires a multi-agency approach. So the startup ecosystem has to be dealt with several players. The establishment of this multi-agency startup committee also effectively helps to support the startup support required in a multi-agency approach. The startup ecosystem has to be dealt with by several players.
Thank you. I therefore propose the question that Clause 4 be amended as proposed by the Chair. If you're willing to speak on this, you can be putting interventions as the clauses are read. Honorable Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I just want to agree with the committee on this particular amendment and many others which I don't necessarily have to come back and comment on, because the introduction of the multi-sector and especially the fact that they're going to input a lot of support into the startups and also in introducing the private sector into this really gives the bill the much needed support that we wanted. And therefore, having had a meeting with the committee itself and agreeing on some of these things, I do support this particular clause. I thank you.
That is well noted. Okay, I need my card. That is well noted. Honorable Millie.
Chair, thank you, and I support the proposal by the committee. Chair, my only concern is that if you actually look at the multi-agency startup committee that is set up here, because it's already, we've not provided issues of gender balance. The challenge is you might actually then find a situation where all women are brought into the agency or all men. I think that is something, maybe because of the lack of time now, we may not consider, but maybe for future amendments, you need to provide clearly that there needs to be a balance when they are making those nominations.
Honorable Member Fonandi.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm just wondering if, because this being a startup bill, I am sure that the county governments have also other items that they would want to run. So I'm just wondering, Honorable Speaker, if the provision G also, as it is put, any other institution or person the Cabinet Secretary may deem necessary, can this cover probably if there's an aspect of the county governments, even in their own domestication of the bill, because there are also other programs that the county governments run, Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Marianne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, other agencies may be involved, and actually there is a role that county governments have been given, and I think that role will come out at clause 30, about clause 30, 31, and 32, where the county government's involvement is. What we saw as a committee here, Chair, is that the startup bill is a national government innovation process, and especially at the funding stage. And if you look at the entities that are being involved, they are all national government entities, and therefore, at this stage, we require the national government involvement. But at the implementation stage, when these startups start, because these startups will be starting at the various counties, ward level, then that is where the county governments come in to help these innovations be able to start. So that is taken care of much ahead in the bill. Thank you.
Very well noted. I therefore put the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. There is a proposed amendment by Honourable KJ, which falls if this is carried. So that we will be skipping. And we'll go to the global question. I put the question that clause 4, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I propose the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. We have the chair with an amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Propose that clause 5 be amended as it appears in the order paper, and the justification is that this provision of this clause has already been designated to the institutions introduced in part 2 of this bill.
Thank you. I therefore propose the question that clause 5 be deleted as proposed by the chair. Honourable Basil, is it on this? No. I therefore
bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sport, music, entertainment news, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital App in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile.